Hello, everyone. I am here with Dr. Melissa Congdon, who is still a member of Primal Trust and has had quite a journey of recovery. And she's also an incredible doctor who specializes in fibromyalgia for both adults and children, correct?
That's correct.
And is a wealth of knowledge on her own. And I specifically wanted to bring her in and interview her to have her share with you her own transformation journey because it's quite inspiring. And at the end, I'm also going to have her share a little bit about fibromyalgia and root cause, as she is one of the leading experts on that. So welcome, Dr. Melissa Congdon.
Oh, thank you so much, Dr. Kat. It's a pleasure to be here.
Oh, it's really great to meet you on this end of things. I've watched you through Zoom going through the program for several months now. Let's start off by telling our listeners what it is that you were struggling from. Basically, what was your chronic illness? When did it begin? What were you dealing with? And then eventually what led you to Primal Trust?
Yeah, yes, actually, my journey began at age 4 when I got mono, and I missed 6 months of nursery school, and I just remember spending a lot of time on the couch, and I guess it's pretty unusual for a child my age to get mono, and I was later found to have a minor immune system deficiency called natural killer cell deficiency that my integrative medicine doctor found that he thinks might be responsible for this. But I recovered, and then the next thing that I experienced was headaches as a teenager, and then some tooth grinding in medical school, and then things were fine for a while until 2008. And I chose pediatrics to be my specialty because I just love kids. And as I was in my residency, as I was in medical school, first of all, in our 4th year, we get to go through each specialty, like surgery and general medicine, pediatrics, and decide what we want to do. And when I did my pediatrics rotation, I was just smitten because there's a child in every room and they're so amazing to interact with. And usually they get better quickly. And I really wanted to help them and their parents. So I loved that. But in 2008, I started developing pretty severe fatigue and widespread body pain and more severe migraines, and I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia. And luckily, I was diagnosed by Dr. Paul St. Amand, who is a fibromyalgia specialist and who developed a revolutionary treatment called the guaifenesin protocol. And I went on the protocol and fully recovered. And in 2010, I was ready to go back to pediatrics. And he said, actually, would you consider letting me train you and go into fibromyalgia medicine for children and adults? And so I did that, and I love it. Fibromyalgia is such a common but poorly understood condition. And I really love that. But as my practice grew, I got stretched thin because I not only wanted to treat fibromyalgia with the GRI protocol, I wanted to talk about diet. And I also wanted to talk about the importance of consistent aerobic exercise and balancing the nervous system with mind-body therapy. So I was doing a little of this stuff way back then. And then the pandemic hit, and that was difficult for all of us and healthcare practitioners since we're on the front lines. And my integrative medicine doctor told me that because I had a natural killer cell deficiency, I was at risk for having a more severe case of COVID. And he's a personal friend because as a pediatrician, I would send patients to him because he's an infectious disease specialist also. And so I felt his fear for me. And so that was the tipping point for my perfect storm, was my feeling vulnerable to harm from COVID specifically.
I've heard that from several people who ended up having quite a tipping point happen from COVID, that there was a setup that put their nervous system on alarm and maybe an even expectation of what would happen when they got COVID. So what did happen, and what was the, tell me more. What happened?
Yeah. So I really my nervous system shut down. It was like, this is overwhelming. We are so scared, and you just really shouldn't leave the house at all, ever. Oh, maybe you can go outside and walk around, but you really can't leave the house. And I just really became fearful. I became hypersensitive to smells, cooking smells. I would go outside our house and I'd smell detergent when people were doing the wash. It was overwhelming. And just became really foggy and just really unable to function. Yeah. So I went on medical leave. And we were living in a lovely little house on a mountain up 70 stairs, no driveway, no garage. And it was really hard for me to get up the hill. So we moved to a rental house on flat ground. And my daughter went on Instagram and found Creating Calm.
My first program.
And yes, your first program. And I had been doing some DNRS and Gupta, and I like the mood elevation, but I didn't really get traction with them. And I'd also been doing somatic work with Sarah Jackson, and she's a wonderful practitioner who has monthly classes and also has a website with videos. And when I did her monthly class, doing the somatic practices took me out of the fight and flight response for a time. And I felt so good that I knew that this is what I could feel like, if I could feel like that more than just for that hour of her class, that's what I wanted. And so, yeah, it'll be a year tomorrow that I started Regulate.
Or the Regulate, when we just launched that a year ago. So what made you choose to join Primal Trust? And did you have any hesitation? I mean, you'd done a lot of things up until that point. I'm always curious of what hesitation might have been there, what made you choose Primal Trust, and then, tell us about that story.
Yeah. So I really trust my daughter's instincts. And she went through the first few, she did the Creating Calm program and really got a lot of benefit. And so I, went on your website and reviewed things, and I thought I'd give it a try. And then I think it was in module 1 when you talk about how the stress response in our body creates all these problems. And it resonated with me because I had read about the cell danger response, reading Toxic by Neil Nathan. I'm like, yeah, I get this. And so that really struck a chord. And so I really like the idea of being able to change the function of my immune system cells by getting my brain out of fight and flight and being more regulated. That sounded not only so powerful and awesome, but yeah, I can do that. It's something I can do. I don't need to take a supplement or anything. It's me. And so I started Regulate. I think it's in module 1 where you're demonstrating the ABCs and you're out in southern Utah and you're on the rocks and you are coming into your body and you are connecting with your parts. You're presencing your feelings, which is so, so important to me. And then you went into the past visualization and the future visualization. And I got this feeling, I can heal. I can do this. I was like, yes. So that's how I got started.
That's so beautiful. Wow. I love that. And you've had such a journey between starting from age 4 and having all sorts of kind of the weird symptoms that probably were there on and off for years that set up in the nervous system of things aren't quite right. And then you describe what so many people describe, which is a tipping point where the fear goes over the edge. And it sounds like the COVID fear was what caused things to go over the edge. And then all of a sudden you're developing multiple chemical sensitivity and probably other symptoms. So what were the symptoms that you experienced? And now you've done Regulate, it's been a year and you've probably done level 2. And now where are you now? So what was the difference between, because people are always like, what symptoms did you have? And now where are you?
Well, yeah, regarding the multiple chemical sensitivities, I can tolerate so much more now. Actually, even probably better than before, because I had a low level. I can't stand the smell of coffee, and my husband's a big coffee drinker. But the other day, I was walking past Pete's Coffee, which is a coffee store in the Bay Area, and usually they're really strong smells. And I was like, oh, that smells kind of good. So, and that's really striking for me. I had developed abdominal bloating and pain when I ate certain foods, and so I went on a low histamine diet. I'm able to eat a lot more foods now. Yeah, which is really great. But the biggest thing for me was really using your program to find out what my values are. And for me, one of my most important values is being with community, being with others. And my fear of COVID was keeping me from that. So doing the Primal Trust exercises, going through the different modules, and then doing the daily work on my own really, really helped me understand that my core fear was a vulnerability to harm. And then working with Simona really helped me to find my antidote that would dissolve all of this. And my antidote is that I'm resilient, strong, and capable, and open to what life brings me. And yeah, that resonates. And if I get COVID, I will be okay. And we went through the steps. She helped me put together a COVID kit, a little Ziploc bag with vitamin C and herbal remedies and other things that, if I test positive, there's the kit. And I've got it right there. And she really helped me incrementally train to get back out in the world again. So for instance, I hadn't been in a store until about 6 months ago. And so there's a nice mall close by. And she said, all right, once you put your mask on and choose a store you go into and walk in and just go in for 10 seconds and then come out. You have your mask on. I did that. And then we moved to the mask off, going in, and then spending more time. And then all the way up to a couple weeks ago, I actually went to my month book group meeting where we had a dinner at one of the members' homes, and I ate inside with my friends for the first time since COVID.
Wow.
And it was so fun. It was so great. And of course, I done a lot of parts work. And so my parts understood what was happening. It was so great. But afterwards, they're like, what just happened? What did we just do? You went inside, you know? But my nervous system is much more balanced, and I'm really able to live life with my values really leading me. So sorry for that long response.
It was beautiful. And for those of you who don't know, Simona, who she mentioned, is one of the Primal Trust one-on-one mentors. And Dr. Congdon worked with Simona for some time to do what we call incremental training, which is how we go towards the things that scare us and help to teach our nervous system and our stress response that it's indeed okay. And you've demonstrated beautifully the neuroplastic capacity of the brain to make new associations, both with sense and with going places and being able to get your freedom back. And one of the other things you were describing that we do in our level 2 program is that it's not just about learning to regulate your nervous system, but it's about really coming in touch with your true self-identity and living your values so that we use the tools to be able to live a life we love. And I love what you described as who you are. We call it an antidote statement, which is this opposite way of being of our internal fear. What was your antidote statement again? Could you repeat that?
Sure. I'm resilient, strong, and capable, and open to what life brings me.
And I feel that as you're speaking. And those statements literally reroute our identity. It is the program that runs the nervous system when we can learn how to retrain the brain to believe that is who we are, rather than I'm afraid and I am likely to get sick and it's not safe for me in the world and I'm different than others, et cetera, et cetera. So you really created a different brain state and a different identity state.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. I'm so grateful.
Yes. So I also want to talk about a little bit of your specialty. So you specialize in helping people with fibromyalgia. And that is something that many of our members and people who come to Primal Trust struggle with. And they're often, going from doctor to doctor year after year, and it can feel pretty hopeless. Describe to us, if you would, what you would say to somebody who is coming to Primal Trust. They have fibromyalgia and they feel hopeless. What kind of hope or thought would you have to give to them, being an expert in the field?
Well, that they're not alone. Fibromyalgia is a common condition. And there's evidence that it's genetically determined. Maybe on chromosome 17, there could code for it. And I've found in my years as a fibromyalgia practitioner, it's very treatable. And most of my patients feel better. And so they shouldn't feel shame, even though some people might say that fibromyalgia is all in their heads. It's actually not. We have a unique physical exam and unique biochemical findings, but it's very treatable. And what I do with my patients is I teach them about fibromyalgia and I give them their choice of treatments and really customize a treatment plan for them.
One of the things you mention on your website, which is melissacongdonmd.com, for those who are interested in learning more from your perspective, is a treatment protocol called the guaifenesin protocol for fibromyalgia. Can you tell us about that?
Yes, my mentor, Dr. Paul St. Amand, found that when people take guaifenesin, the right type and the right amount, and avoid products that block its action, their symptoms slowly improve over time. And there's a lot more detail that you can find on my website, but I mean, this over-the-counter, really cheap medicine has been very effective, and that is what brought me back to good health. So that is probably the core treatment that my patients find helps them feel better. So I love that.
I'm a little curious just because I have the science part of me. What does it do? Tell us, you can go down the rabbit hole a little bit. I'm curious.
Yeah. Well, Dr. Paul St. Amand found that people with fibromyalgia, our kidneys are a little sluggish in excreting phosphate in the urine. And guaifenesin allows the kidneys to excrete phosphate 6 times faster. So it addresses probably what is the cellular problem in fibromyalgia. Yeah.
So is there a buildup of phosphate in the system because it's not excreting it? Is that what's happening?
Correct. Yes. And he found that this causes swellings in the body, which he calls nodules, swollen muscles, tendons, and ligaments that can press on nerves and cause pain. And as you take the guaifenesin, there's a period of time where symptoms may flare, but usually by 9 months to a year, depending on how long someone's had fibromyalgia, their symptoms really have decreased. Yeah. So it's been really wonderful, first of all, to recover using the GUI protocol and to be able to help children and adults recover as well.
So children can take this as well.
They can. It's FDA approved for children 2 and over. And I really love seeing kids and it, because of the genetic component, it's not uncommon for me to have a parent who's my patient that will say, actually, my child, we thought they were just moody when they were really in pain, or we thought they were just not wanting to play soccer in practice, going to soccer practice, but they're really tired and in pain. And then putting them on the guaifenesin protocol and seeing the before and after picture. And one of my patients, her picture at soccer practice, she's like frowning and like this. And a year later, she's like, yeah, she's like running around.
Wow.
So it's just, I mean, to be able to help kids have less pain and more energy and a more stable mood is so satisfying.
That's so amazing. That's so amazing. And I know you also have a online course for people who are interested, who have fibromyalgia, to learn some things that are helpful. What are some of the principles that you teach in your online course on fibromyalgia that they would learn from you?
Yeah. There are 10 modules and I really go through everything. I go through what fibromyalgia is, how do we know it's real, and with a list of many of the important research studies. And then what are the options for treatment, guaifenesin protocol. And then Dr. Saint Amand found that about 30% of people with fibromyalgia have blood sugar crashes when they eat certain types and certain amounts of carbohydrates. And so he found a list of foods that keeps the blood sugar steady. So there's a module on, do you have carbohydrate sensitivity? And if so, what are your options? And then how to exercise without crashing. And then the mind-body module, which I'm going to add Primal Trust to.
Awesome.
Yeah. So those are the basics.
Oh, that's cool. Thank you so much for sharing. This is going to be very interesting for people who have not heard about this, and that there could be a simple thing like decreasing the amount of phosphate in the system and stabilizing the blood sugars alongside the nervous system work and repatterning perception that can be helpful for people who struggle with this. So that's awesome. Very exciting. All right. So as we close this, is there any word of wisdom that you'd like to leave to people about the potential to heal, or about your experience, or something that helped you the most as we close out?
Yes, thank you. Well, just that we have the capacity inside us, all of us, to heal, and to have been able to really feel that, and to really start healing with Primal Trust is possible. And perhaps someone won't choose Primal Trust, but just to know, just to have that feeling of that innate okayness and power is possible for us all.
Thank you. And thank you for being an example of what can happen when we make the decision and take the responsibility to rewire our nervous system and to believe we can heal, and that you're getting your life back, and I'm sure you're just getting started. I can't wait to see what you're doing a year from now. So thank you for talking with me today.
Thank you. I'm so grateful.